Bum, 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 bum. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Eli, Fantasy Blitz, week 17. It is time. Yeah, it's time. Championship time, baby. For those that are in it, congratulations. Let's go. You must have been following the show the entire season because that's got to be the only way that you made it, right? But if you didn't, how was your season? Let me know in the chat. I want to know how you did. Whether this was your first time playing, second, third, fourth, if you're a veteran like me. And also, if you remember who your first pick was whenever you first started, please let me know because mine was Calvin Johnson back in, I think, 2013, 14. I don't know. Not too sure. But if you're in the championship, congrats. But if you're not, and if you're in the last place, you're also going to want to look at these picks and also start and sits because you may never know if you may get caught lacking. Because whenever you get into last place, it's never your fault. I know it's the player's fault. But if you make it into the championship, it's 1,000%, your responsibility, and you did it. So good job. Without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to move on. Teams on bye. There are none for the rest of the season, but I'd like telling y'all just in case y'all forget or just, wonder what's going on. Chili Rainbow, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Remind me if you're in the championship because I'm not in that Fantasy Blitz League, so you got to let me know if y'all are in that or if you're in that one. Oh, excuse me, sorry. But yes, very important. If you are in the championship, I want to know if you made it or not, just because I want to know if y'all made it, because this is the Fantasy Blitz, and we're supposed to help y'all out. And I know it's just me, but Nick and Adam definitely helped y'all out through the regular season. But I'm here for the playoff push, as always. But let's get into the first game, man. I'm tired of this. I really want to know what's going on. But we got Detroit, Dallas tomorrow at 8:15. It really bothers me that it says Monday Night Football Special Edition. This is not Monday Night Football. This is Saturday Night Football. I don't know why it's a special edition, but whatever. Oh, Hudson, yo, what up, man? Hey, first off, just got to say Hudson's the reason I'm here, so got to give my flowers to him so that he can smell them. But, yeah, shout out to Hudson, man. Also, he's in the semis or championship. He doesn't really know, or I don't really know, but let's all wish Hudson best of luck just because we want him to see him win. But let's get in this game. Detroit versus Dallas. Dallas is a minus 6-point favorite, so let's start with them because favorites start first. We got Dak, Pollard, and Lamb and Ferguson. Now, I only wrote a couple notes for key games, just for key stats, because some of the other games like Denver and the Chargers, they're kind of stinkers, even though I have a note on that one. But just going to do some light notes for this one because we don't want to overthink this week. We don't want to overthink at all just because let your players play, man. I'm sure some of them out there, wonder, I might be in the championship for some people. So I've had some of them care, but Dak, Pollard, Lamb, Ferguson. I'm very excited to see Lamb and Ferguson. I only say start Pollard, even though he had a stinker last week. I think he only put up around 6 points. Because I'm only excited for Pollard because he is a tool for that team. He can be involved in all sorts of run, pass options, whatever. But I say Lamb and Ferguson with much confidence, and maybe even Brandon Cooks if you're in a deep league, because Detroit, I believe they have their third best team against running backs in fantasy. And Pollard just came off a 6-point stinker. So don't know if he's going to pop off or even do that well. That should open the door up for Dak and Lamb and Ferguson. But let's move on to Detroit. Gibbs, Monty, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Laporta. Laporta's been slacking in the past 2 games. I can't lie. I think he's put up a little bit under 11 maybe in the past 2 games after his 28-point bomb 2 weeks ago. But I'm having confidence in Laporta this week just because this is a big game and I think he can show out. But Gibbs and Monty, these guys I really do think are going to go off in this team just because Dallas is going to be all over Jared Goff. But I think Gibbs and Montgomery are going to be well in the pass game, especially Gibbs. Now, Montgomery, he's not been that involved like Jahmyr Gibbs has been, but Montgomery can definitely, if they get down to the 5-4-3, he's that guy. They give it to him straight through. But, yeah, I'm not too sure how this game is going to go because I don't know if y'all have seen the stat, but the past, I think, maybe 7-8 games, the underdog for the Monday Night Football game, even though this is on Saturday, has won the game. So if I had to put money on it, I'd put Detroit. Don't take advice from me just because I don't know what's going on. What's up with Hayden Hammond, the one and only? What's going on, brother? Let's see. Gibbs is to go. I would agree. Hey, let's go. Hey, Nathaniel Rogers, my man. What's up, bro? He said Pollard felt underwhelming. Yes, very underwhelming this year, I would say. Don't know why. And I called it earlier in the season, but I called it just because we kind of saw that with Zeke last year, how Pollard took over. But I'm not saying the RB2 on Dallas is the reason that Pollard is lacking. I don't know why he's lacking, and he's definitely underwhelming this year. But, you got to start him because you took him high. You know, a lot of people took him high. His ADP was probably around 20 or 30 around there, depending on what you're looking at. But let's move on from this game. I'm tired of this one. Let's go New England, Buffalo. I said we'll start with favors, but New England's got no one. Ramondre's on IR. I don't know if y'all have keeping up with Ramondre Stevenson owners, but out for the rest of the year. You're not going to start him at all. So maybe Zeke for this game, but I just see this one being a total blowout just because Buffalo's on a roll. They won 4 of their last 5, and they're definitely looking for a playoff push. I would not want to see them in the playoffs at all. They're one of the few teams that I would not want to see at all just because they're the pace that they're at right now. But on the Buffalo side, you got to start Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, James Cook, and Dawson Knox. Don Kincaid, man, you fell off. You fell off pretty hard, and I don't want to say it's his fault, but Dawson Knox is the more experienced tight end. Dalton Kincaid's just the rookie. I don't want to say he's getting into his head a little bit much, but it takes time to adapt to these things, man. Just like getting a new job or a new anything, takes time to develop, and I'm sure he's going to be great. Josh Allen seems to love him, but right now it just looks like it's the Dawson Knox show. This one's on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Make sure you tune in for that one. Just because Buffalo, if they win, and we got to see what Buffalo looks like. If they're looking high and mighty, that's a dangerous team, man. Right now, it looks like they play the Chiefs in the playoffs, and if I'm Kansas City, I'm shaking in my boots. I'm not wanting to play the Bills. Let's move on. Atlanta, Chicago, womp. Just kidding. This one actually should be pretty good just because there's looking like a playoff push for the Falcons. They need a lot of help from a lot of teams. The Rams, Seattle are also in front of them, and as well as Minnesota. But on the Chicago side, because they're favored, Justin Fields and Cole Kmet. I'm sitting DJ Moore and all the running backs because Atlanta is number 2 against wide receivers in fantasy. They've been locking up guys all week, or all year, I'm sorry. But Michael Pittman Jr. didn't play last week, and we saw that when there's not an elite receiver, not calling DJ Moore not elite, when there's not an elite receiver on the field, the Falcons just seem to shut him down. And then it resorts to the other team having to run the ball, and they just shut him down there. On the Atlanta side, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Kyle Pitts. Arthur Smith, man, it's too late. You're doing what you're supposed to, but it's too late. I think he's gone after this season. Whether we make the playoffs or not, I say we because go Falcons, go Birds. But, man, last week, London, Bijan, and Pitts all looked pretty well. I'm not saying it's all because of Arthur Smith. Taylor Heineke showed his veteran experience last week to get the ball to his playmakers, and that's what the Falcons need to do. They need to get the ball to their playmakers, and it's just a matter of fact if they do it this game. But I have confidence in Pitts this week just because it's a little nerve-wracking, man. I don't know. I hope it's just weird. It's like a Magic 8-Ball, but you'll see that later in the show. Let's move on to this one. Let's see. We got Hunter. Oh, what up, Hunter? What's up, my man? Eli, do you think the Chiefs will win? I need a full. What does it say? I need a full hard down. Sorry if I missed it already. Oh, no, you're good. I'm going to get it later for you, Hunter. Don't worry. I know Chiefs Kingdom. Let's rise. That's later on. That's the later 4 o'clock games. And then we got Nathaniel. Go Birds. Yes, sir. You already know. And go Coys. EPL over here. If you know, you know. Let's move on. We got the Vegas Raiders versus the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are 3.5-point favorites. This is Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So on the Indianapolis side, Pittman Jr. seems good to go. He was full participation in practice. Just got a little banged up from that injury a couple weeks ago against the Steelers. They really missed him last week against the Falcons. Don't know if he would have had a huge impact in that game, but he definitely would have. Just adds another weapon on the field. But Jonathan Taylor, I don't want to say he's touchdown heavy, but against this Raiders defense, man, they looked good last week against the Chiefs. That's what their defense won the game. But if you have Jonathan Taylor, you got to start him in your running back slot just because I don't know if you – well, maybe not because if you drafted him late because of the whole suspension injury thing, you might have some other picks ahead of him. So maybe in your flex, RB2, whatever floats your boat. I don't know. On the Raiders side, we got Josh Jacobs. He's still iffy. I'm getting sick and tired of the Raiders not giving us what we need to know about his health. Like last week, they just out of nowhere right before the game, oh yeah, by the way, he's not playing. But then Zamir White, he steps in, rushes for 145 yards, looking good. Go Dogs, by the way. But Zamir White looking good. He's not touchdown reliant, but he is workload reliant, and that's just because of AOC. AOC is a game manager. No diss to him. He's winning you games, but he's not there to win your game. Devontae Adams, you got to start your studs. It's Devontae Adams, one of the best wide receivers in the past, 10 years or so. I mean, I can't even remember. But, yeah, let's move on to this game. This one should be a good one. Must win for both teams if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. A lot of must-win games for these teams this week. Rams-Giants. Golly, this one, I don't know why the line is not higher. Maybe it's because DeVito is sitting. But the Rams are 4.5-point favorites. This game is at Sunday on 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Oh, excuse me. Let's look over the chat real quick. Hey, Will Edwards, them dogs are hell. Amen to that, brother. They looking good. I can't lie. We got the Rams as 4.5-point favorites, so we'll start with them. Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and their defense. I am loving the Rams defense. If I had a pick of the week for defenses, I would probably roll with the Rams just because they're ranked number 1 against running backs in fantasy this year. And who do the Giants have besides Barkley? No diss to Darius Slayton or Tyrod Taylor or Darren Waller, but Saquon Barkley is the only guy that they can really run their offense through. And if you're going up against the number 1 run defense, and there's a guy named Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald's on the other side of the football, it's going to be dangerous. I don't care how old he is, whatever his stats looking like. He's a big man, takes 2 guys to block up. So that allows other defensive players to get in there. But I'm scared, man. I'm scared for the Giants. It should be, I would put the line at like 6. Honestly, a touchdown game. Maybe Vegas knows more than me. That's why they're there. I don't know. Let's move on to the next game. We've got Arizona versus the Eagles on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Philly is a 10.5-point favorites. Now, that's a line right there, dadgummit. That's a good line. So we'll start with the Eagles. We got A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, and Devontae Smith. They had a weird game last week, but I don't think it's their fault. The special teams had some mishaps. Jalen Hurts had that bad pick that ran for a pick 6. So as long as they can take care of things on the offensive side of the ball, but their defense needs to step up. But Arizona does not have a lot of star power. They do have James Conner, Trey McBride, and Kyler Murray, but I'm just a little bit nervous just because, I mean, it's the Cardinals, man. They have some talent, but it's not enough to overpower the Eagles. I love Trey McBride. He's the only deep threat or wideout threat for this matchup. Kyler Murray, I start him just because if you don't have a quarterback and you're trying not to lose your league, because if you have Kyler Murray, you're probably not in the championship. But, you know, he could actually slice and dice against this Eagles defense. Will it win the game? Probably not. I don't know. We'll see. Let's move on to this game because this one could be a blowout. But I don't know. Eagles are iffy this year. Well, this little stretch. So we got Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, New Orleans versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Must-win game for the Bucs. They're 3.5 favorites. But if they win, they clinch, I believe. And that's not good news for me because I don't want them to win. I want the Falcons to go to the playoffs. Tired of getting these picks. But I don't want to root for the Saints. So you see where I'm looking at. We got Chris Olave. I started on the New Orleans side. Tampa Bay got Rashad White, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield. Now, New Orleans is a top 10 defense against quarterbacks this year. Baker's on fire. I'm taking a hot quarterback against any defense that's good regardless just because I think better offense wins against better defenses nowadays. This ain't the 70s no more. This ain't the 80s. This is the new era. I ain't talking Lamar Jackson either. But I like these guys. Rashad White's been a top 5 running back all year. He's just, dude, I mean, I love when he's on the field just because he can either catch the ball and go for 30 yards or run the ball for 16, 17. Doesn't really matter. He's a weapon overall. So if you have him, you're more than likely in your championship. And then we got the New Orleans side. We got Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, man. See, this is a perfect example. He faced last week against the Rams. He had a stinker game. He only got his points really from receptions because he couldn't run the ball at all. But he's not going to be facing a team like the Rams or a defense like the Rams. Bucs do have a good defense, don't get me wrong. But Alvin Kamara definitely is going to bump up a little bit more than last week. So if you're a Kamara owner, you know, hold your breath. Or actually, exhale. Sorry. You'll be okay. It should be okay. We'll see how that goes. Let's move on. We got, this is a high line. San Francisco minus 13-point favorites against the Washington Commanders. This one's at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. I had to make the font a whole lot shorter for the 49ers because, golly, man, they're probably going to pop off in this one. I expect Purdy, Ayuk, Kittle, and Debo to start off hot in the beginning just because the old, like, if you're up, you're going to run the ball. So CMC should get plenty of touches to win you your league because I think the stat is like 50% of teams that have Christian McCaffrey or 50% of teams that are in the championship have Christian McCaffrey. Craziness. I mean, that's a carry right there. I wonder if his back hurts from all that carrying. I don't know. But yeah, you definitely want to start him because Washington is the last team against quarterbacks. Now, Brock Purdy just threw 4 picks against the Baltimore Ravens, who was at the time, I think, the number 1 team against quarterbacks. So he's going from 1 to 32. I definitely think he's going to continue, not from last week, but continue seeing Brock Purdy things. Because, I mean, he was MVP favorite. Would he have gotten my vote? No. But he was the MVP favorite at one point. So I definitely think that him and Kyle Shanahan are going to whip something up in order to get his confidence back. All the Brock Purdy hate, man, I hate it. Y'all need to let it go. I don't like him or I don't love him, but he's just a kid. I mean, come on. I mean, he's probably older than me, but whatever. Let's move on to the next game. Oh, actually, sorry, the Commanders are so boring. They benched Sam Howell. I hate when teams do that. Dude, Commanders, y'all suck. Why are you benching your future? Let him get the rest of the games in so he can, like, I don't know, pick up speed and kind of get more experience in. But Terry McLaurin's the only guy. That's if you're in a deep league and you need to start. Like, you need to start. If you got some wide receivers hurt or a flex spot hurt, Terry McLaurin is a safe play. I mean, he's been pretty consistent, mid-consistent, I would say, but it is what it is. Let's move on to the next game. Whoa. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love if y'all could like this video. It costs nothing, but it means everything to me. I really do appreciate it. I'm just, I got a shout out to Nick and Adam for bringing me on, especially Hudson. So I'm just trying to grow this page a little bit more and also share it to a friend. Let's get those subscribers up. Really need that. Just trying to help out y'all, man. Just let's go. Let's move on. Next game, Carolina versus Jacksonville. This one's also at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Jacksonville 6.5-point favorites. We'll go Lawrence, Etienne, Ingram, and Ridley. This is a bounce back game, I would have to say, just because Jacksonville got embarrassed last week against the Bucs. It was really, really bad. And Jacksonville's been just terrible the last few games. Don't know what's going on. They haven't had major injuries. I mean, Lawrence got banged up, but nothing major, to keep their team losing like this. But they're playing the Panthers. They should do well. I said the same thing against when the Falcons were playing them. So we'll see. This is the NFL. Crazy things happen all the time. But on Carolina side, Adam Thielen, he's okay. He's consistent enough in the past few games, but not too consistent. But if you need a play, go with Adam Thielen. He's looking in a good spot right now just because Carolina's probably going to be going all out. I think they're like 2-13 or something crazy. Yeah, not looking too good, but it is what it is. Carolina by 14, Will says. All right. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Not too bad. If you put like $20 on that, I think you could retire. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Let's move on to the next game. Okay, come on. I got to put on the full cam. You see what I'm repping, so I'm going to be biased just a little bit, but I'm going to be biased. Action Jackson, man. You gotta start him against the Miami defense just because he has been a great quarterback against all defenses. They've been playing some tough teams, and Lamar has been showing out. I would say if you have Lamar on your team, you're not looking for a 30-point game. You're looking for like a 20 to 23-point game just to keep your team afloat, and that's what he's been doing all season. They're 3.5-point favorites in this game. Gus Edwards, I put him on here just because he might be touchdown reliant. Don't know if he is completely touchdown reliant, but it just depends on that offense. I love Isaiah Likely. Lamar Jackson loves Isaiah Likely. That's what's most important. And Zay Flowers, what a bounce-back game. After having one catch for 7 yards against Jacksonville 2 weeks ago, he popped off against the 49ers. I don't know the stats on that one, but he definitely improved in that game. I don't know if he's the type of player to, up and down, but I expect him to do some big things. But that Miami defense could be a little bit tough in the secondary. We'll see if he matches up against Jalen Ramsey. Miami side, this is the first time all season that Fantasy Blitz has not had more than like 3 names on the Miami side. But when they're facing a top 3 defense like Baltimore, you got to sit to it. And also, Jalen Waddle has been ruled out. All right, he's been ruled out. So if you have him in your lineup, take him out. You want to switch him out for someone else. But there's Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, man, that first half was rough. I mean, I wasn't going to win my my matchup last week, but when he had a big donut in the beginning, I was just sweating. But then he ended up coming up with 18. That's the type of player Tyreek Hill is. But he's playing that Baltimore defense, man. If they get to Tua, he's not getting the ball. So it's definitely going to be a little shaky to see how he does. But it's Tyreek Hill. He can get open regardless. In my opinion, he's probably the number 1 wide receiver overall. Excuse me, a little voice crack. This one's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. You don't want to miss it. 3.5-point favorite for Baltimore. I like the line a little bit. I put it at 4.5 just because 3.5 is so low, but it's also not too low. It's NFL. I don't know. Let's move on to these questions. Oh, we got Caleb. What's up, man? He said, did you say start Lawrence versus Carolina? If you have him and you don't have a better quarterback, yeah, you could feel confident doing that. I would say you feel confident just because he and his offense could provide points for that team. I don't know if he's going to be gunslinging like he has been in the past, but not in the past few games, but in the season. But this could be a good bounce back game for him. I would, if you have no other option, go ahead and start him. And then another question, or because last time we checked, he was ruled out with the injury. Wait, are you for real? Oh, snap. Caleb calling me out. Yeah, if someone could look that up for me, confirm. Not that I don't believe Caleb, but you're probably all right. I didn't see him in the injury report, but maybe I'm not looking in the right spot. But yeah, appreciate that, Caleb. Always, hey, this is why I need the chat, man. I need y'all help because I'm trying to do a lot of this on my own, but I appreciate y'all. Let's move on to the next game. We got Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We got Tennessee versus Houston. Houston 4.5-point favorites. The boys are back in town. We got Stroud, Singletary, Collins, and Dalton Schultz. C.J. Stroud is back in full participation in practice, as well as Nico Collins. That will help their offense out a bunch more. I'm not too sure about the playoff picture for Houston. I think they're fighting right now, but I think they've had a skid in their past few games. Let's see, Hayden Hammond. He was just ruled out. Oh, man, dadgummit. Well, if you've got Lawrence, rule him out. Get him out. Don't, look for a backup. You should have a backup if Lawrence is your... Oh, gosh, if you're starting Lawrence, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. But, yeah, Houston, they should do well against Tennessee. Their run defense is not the same. I remember in the beginning of the season, Tennessee was really, really good at the run, but now they're, below 10th, I believe. And they start off in the season, 2 or 3, I think. But on Tennessee's side, you got to start Derrick Henry just because it's Derrick Henry. He's been very well the past few games. DeAndre Hopkins, I did not feel too great putting him in the start list, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. He could do well. It depends on Will Levis. Not too sure, but I'm a little scared because DeAndre Hopkins is a little bit older. This could be a little bang game. I don't know. It could be tough in the trenches type game. Or it could be a gunslinging game between Will Levis and C.J. Stroud. But if you have him and you have no better options, go ahead and start Hopkins. Let's move on. Next game. Okay, Pittsburgh, Seattle. I know I said I'm going to start with the favorites, but Pittsburgh, Magic 8 Ball. Seriously, if you have any Pittsburgh Steelers players, just go to an 8 Ball, ask Siri, flip a coin. I don't know, because I said don't start any of them last week, and then George Pickens wants to catch 2 touchdowns and then sub 200 yards. What is this? It's kind of like Gabe Davis earlier in the season. You never know. So it's literally Magic 8 Ball. I have no clue. Seriously, I have no clue who would you want to start. But on the Seattle side, Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, and DK Metcalf. Kenneth Walker, he is a roller coaster player, I would say, but if he can get involved in the pass game, which I think Seattle is doing rather well recently, and Pittsburgh's been slumpish as of recently as well, you definitely want to start Kenneth Walker. I have to start him just because I'm SOL and I'm not in the finals. So, womp womp. It is what it is. Let's move on to the next game. We got the Chargers versus the Broncos. Now, this game could be interesting just because it's Easton Stick versus, I think, Jarrett Stidham. The whole Russell Wilson situation is weird. Denver, been one of the weirdest teams, if not the weirdest team the past season or so, just because it's like a dumpster fire. It's hot, but why does it smell bad? I don't know. But on the Chargers side, you got Austin Eckler, Gerald Everett. It's just weird. Gerald Everett has been that tight end all season, like a consistent tight end. And I have Austin Eckler on there because Denver is 31st, I believe. Let me check my notes. I believe, they're 31st against running backs. So Austin Eckler, dude, you got to do well. You have to do well if you want to have your ADP go up next season. I know that sounds crazy for one game in the past season for the next season to have your ADP rise, but if you can't do well against this defense, are we on the Eckler decline? Let me know in the chat if you're on the Eckler decline if he doesn't do well in this game. But Javonte Williams is the only strong start because I believe Courtland Sutton's banged up. Even if he's healthy and he's banged up, I don't want Jarrett Stidham throwing him the ball. I know you guys don't want that to happen. But did y'all see what Sean Payton said? Because he said that if he didn't believe Jarrett Stidham gave him the best chance to win, he wouldn't do it. Why you gotta lie, man? That's just cap. That's just cap all day. You just don't want to pay Russell all that money. I wouldn't want to either. But it is what it is. This is the NFL. It's a business. Let's move on to the next game. This is a pretty spicy one. Just because it's got a lot of past rivalry, playoff rivalry type thing. Cincinnati versus Kansas City. This one's in Kansas City. It's at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. Let's see. Eckler ruined me this year. Yes, Mr. Hammond. I'm so sorry that he ruined you. I don't blame you for taking him early on, but it is what it is. That's just like it is. I don't want to say it's luck, but if a player is bad, just say it's not your fault. If a player is good, it's all your responsibility. You can take the credit for it. On the Kansas City side, they're looking for a bounce back game. I thought they would win out. You can call me out if you want. Mahomes versus AOC? Who would have picked AOC? It is what it is. But you're going to start Isaiah Pacheco if he's healthy. If not, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is also a little banged up. So if he's not healthy, see if you can get Jerick McKinnon. Maybe. If he's on your roster, I don't know. Kansas City running backs haven't been consistent in the last, 2-3 years. It's been so weird. But I don't know. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, they got to figure it out, man. They have got to figure it out because Kansas City is looking bad in the last few games. Ooh, excuse me. They're not looking too hot, and they need to do well. But I will say this. I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs just because they have that championship mentality mindset of wanting to win it all. They know what the goal is. They've tasted it twice in the past 4 or 5 years. They want to win it all. So I don't want to face them if they have an opportunity. I want to be that team in their way. On the Cincinnati side, you got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon. I believe T. Higgins is still fine. I'm not too sure. I also didn't see him on the injury report. But Jamar Chase should do well. Jake Browning's throwing him the ball. I don't care. It's Jamar Chase, top 3 wide receiver in the league. Don't care. Joe Mixon, I think he has a pretty good pass against the Chiefs. But again, when you have a guy like Jake Browning under gun, you're not going to want to have him sling the ball a bunch. You want to give it to your playmakers like Joe Mixon. So I expect big things from him, whether it's in the pass game or in the run game. I want to say 2 touchdowns. That's too much. A touchdown, 100 total yards just for Joe Mixon. But I don't know, Kansas City's defense, man. Kansas City, man, it's a coin cost for their entire season. I don't know, but they're 7-point favorites. I would agree with the line. Maybe 5.5 if I had to change it. I know 1.5 is a big jump if you're talking spreads, but it is what it is. I've probably said that 1,000 times. And then the final game, there's no Monday Night Football because we're celebrating New Year's Day and also the playoff games. So, who's watching the college football playoffs? I mean, come on, whatever. But we got Green Bay versus Minnesota. This one's at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Minnesota's minus 2-point favorites, even though they're starting Jared Hall, the rookie. Don't know why. I would make Green Bay the favorites, so I would take their +2. But we'll start with the favorites. Got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson's out, not just for this game, but for the season. I'm sure a lot of you, Davis, if you're in the championship, you have TJ Hawkinson. You need to find a good replacement. There's plenty of good, not great. There's plenty of good tight ends on the waiver that you could pick up just to fill in that slot. But TJ Hawkinson, that's a big if. Not big if, that's a big gut punch, losing him because he's easily one of the best tight ends in the entire league. But let's move on to Green Bay side. We got Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and Romeo Doubs. I love Romeo Doubs. I think he's a good player if you need to pick him up or if you need a good flex spot. Hopefully you're not starting him in your wide receiver positions just because that'd be a tough. And if you made it to the championship with him as one of your wide receivers, congrats to you. Come on to the show. Seriously. I love Jordan Love. Been big on this guy all season. I think he's going to be great next year. But, he's going through the motions. First year as starter. I love him. It'll be okay. Let's move on to things to know. Detroit versus Dallas, 53.5-point total. I would take, golly, that's a tough one. Just because they both have really good defenses, but, man, I would take the over. That's the highest one. I would take the over just because it could be a shootout. I don't know, but I would take the over just because they both have also high-power offenses, and I think they could just be slinging it out. And then the lowest is the Chargers versus Denver, 38.5-point. A little scared on that one, just a little bit, just because it could be really, really low. So I'm taking the under because I don't see either team getting over 20 points. If they do, whatever. I don't care. I'm a dog in this fight. Who cares? Let's get out of here, man. Fantasy Blitz. It's a quick one. It is what it is, man. That's how I'm going to roll with this. That's the motto for this week because it's championship week. If you're in the championship, you did it. Honestly, I don't want to say that's all that matters because you definitely want to win it all, but you made it to the championship. Congratulations. I bet that you've been watching the show, all season. That's why you're there. But, shout out to all of you guys. I really do appreciate it. Appreciate y'all supporting us in 2023. We're going to be even better in 2024. I want to give a special shout out to Nick, Adam, and Hudson, also Hit Network, for even allowing me to do this. Really do appreciate you guys. I'm just a young man in Kennesaw, Georgia, trying to make a name for himself in sports media, so I really do appreciate it. That's why I would really, really appreciate it if y'all would share this to your friends and family or anyone that needs help in fantasy. But yeah, this is Eli Heron for Fantasy Blitz. God bless and be kind. Peace.